Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through the GWS versus Port Adelaide game, and this game's pretty lucky that the thumbnail isn't going to have a score in the 90s. It was that bad in terms of fantasy scoring. I'm like looking at this, you've got one score in the 130s, one in the 120s, one 100 score, two in the 90s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the 80s, a couple in the, like 5 more in the 70s, then a lot of 60 scores. And then also a lot of 50s, 40s. Like, this is just so poor in terms of just it being all rounders, and it was a scrappy game. There was a lot of, there was some free kicks as well that were quite a little bit debatable, etc. Not as bad as the North Melbourne Collingwood game, but yeah, Zach Butters is currently going to try his luck at the tribunal with his 1-match suspension for his strike on Tom Green, so we'll see how that goes. I hope it gets overturned, even though it looks sort of unlikely, given some of the other cases that have gone there. But anyway, before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this recap. So this one is probably going to be a quick recap, as it was just a stinker of a game. 9 goals 19 to 6 goals 15. 15 goals 34. That is just a stinker. If it was 34 goals 15 or whatever it was, that would have been a much, much better game. But in the end, it combined for 124 points, and 34 of them were through behinds. As you see here, a lot of the Port boys kicking behinds, and basically Jesse Hogan and also Toby Green just kicking a lot of behinds as well for GWS. So anyway, we'll start with GWS. Lockie Whitfield, 120. He just kicked the ball at an amazing clip, and I really wanted him not to, but he also had a career best 9 tackles, and it was on the best on the ground that day, just ahead of Toby Bedford in the tag and roll, and we'll get to that. Yeah, Lockie Whitfield, he looked great. I didn't get to watch too much of this, but he'd already done enough damage by the time that I left that I was quite annoyed, because yes, I do have him in fantasy for a 120, but I do not have him in Supercoach for a 134. So, and I debated getting him in, and the only thing that stopped me getting him in was the tag that he's going to get next week that I have to cop in fantasy. Riccardi, 97, Hogan, 96, Kieran Briggs, 89, he dominated in the ruck. When you have Ivan Soldo in the ruck, he really doesn't provide much. I know that they have also Sweet and Vicentini. I think Sweet is honestly the better ruckman out of the 3, to be honest with you. Provides a lot more of an actual number 1 ruck role, whereas Soldo is your almost prototypical number 2. I think more so just because he's a better forward, and I don't think he's as... it's almost like he isn't as physical in the ruck. It almost feels like he's a little bit leaner. And yeah, he just got smoked in the ruck, 29 to 19, and then the backup ruck in Riccardi beat out both Ollie Wines and also Todd Marshall. No, was it Todd Marshall or Radical Lear? Radical Lear was, yeah, Ollie Wines was their secondary ruck, and Radical Lear was their third ruck. Their ruck stocks are just completely battered, Port Adelaide. So yeah, I think that is the case. Kieran Briggs just had a really good game. Josh Kelly had a really good game as well, 89, 107 splits, 27 touches, 4 marks, 1 tackle, 1 goal, 1. Tom Green as well, 89, 88, 80 splits, 30 touches, 4 and 2. Did have an unlucky one where he took a mark and then it got given to Toby Green, who I think actually missed the goal. The set shot from about 30 out, so Tom Green could have easily had more. That would have been another 12 points to get him up to 100. If he kicked it, or at least been given it, it would have been another at least up to 6, probably at least 7 points, given that I would expect him to kick it behind from that point on the field. Callum Ward, 86. I think he might have been in a little bit of a tagging role, but not as heavy as the Toby Bedford on Butters that happened, and Butters got limited to 17 touches. It is just a taggers game at this moment, and evading the taggers is almost an inevitable thing. It's going to happen with a lot of the top players now, and that's why I think the value in Bontempelli, Heaney, and some other guys are a lot. Those bigger bodies are a lot more useful because they sort of aren't as easily taggable. Like you wouldn't expect a Toby Bedford to go to a Bontempelli and really work it that much, as he's just too tiny for him. And the same can almost be said for, that's the reason why James Jordan didn't really go to Bontempelli and they had more of a row bottom do the job, is because Bontempelli is a good 5 centimeters taller than James Jordan, but he's a good 5, 10, 15 kilos heavier, and it's just really tough to get on top of him. So you need one of a bigger body type of more stockier player to do it. And that's sort of the advantage of those type of midfielders. Going down here, so we're talking about Ward, Daniels 84, Harry Himmelberg 80, Toby Bedford 76, 8 tackles. I wouldn't be looking too much into this, as it was just a tagging role, and I don't think he does this regularly. Nick Haynes only 18 touches, 8 marks. Toby Green is one that I think you can almost look at as a 23rd premium. He's down enough in price that he's sort of an easy swap with a rookie, or 2 rookies. And he is scoring only 70 a game, but I think he has the ability, if he does get the midfield minutes, which could be probably not the case. I think this is more of a super coach play, but he did go 1 goal 5, 76. He could easily have turned that into 3 goals 2, and that probably would have been a 90 or 95, and that's sort of what you're looking at as sort of an F7 type of play. Angwin 68, Harvey Thomas 67, Finn Callahan 62, Adun 61, 92 split, so he was efficient. Callum Brown 54, 2 goals as well. Sam Taylor, Xavier O'Halloran, Lee Collier, Jack Buckley, Cadman came out of the game, and Toby McMullen came on and didn't really impact the game. Then we go over to Port Adelaide, Dan Houston, 35 touches, 4 marks, 5 tackles, 3 free kicks, 4, and kicked it at 85%. That's a pretty good efficiency-wise. Kane Farrell, 100, 113 split, and then you basically go down to the stinkers. Travis Boak, 76, could be interesting if the likes of a Butters is out. Rosie came back, 72. I think he's just going to drop in price dramatically. If I go to Fantasy again and show you guys what I mean exactly, if I go to Stats Center, quickly, Rosie, here, he's now averaging 88 for the year. He's got, 10 games left. So, I mean, he's averaging, so say he goes 120 for the rest of the year. I think that only just brings him up to a 104 average, just off the top of my head. That would be 1,200 on 800 is 2,084 from 20 games. So that would be a 104.2 average. So, and I don't expect him to go 120 for the rest of the year. I think you can expect maybe a 100 for the rest of the year. And that would bring him to an 884 from 20 games. And that would be a 94.2, I believe, would be the what it ends up being. And a 94.2, I think he's one that you can potentially look at next year, just because this injury run. Before the injury run, he was going at, you would say that's, I don't know what exactly that is, 127, 26, 59, so 559 across 5 games is an average of 112. So you could say without the injury, he goes a 112. And if he's 94, that is definitely value. So I think he's one to look at next year, just because he's had stinker after stinker, and it's taken him. He had a bad game here, had the injury in this game, then another tried to play through it. This game missed, then injured in this game as well, and then also had a stinker coming back from injury. So he's basically had about 4 injury-affected games, which have just tanked his average. So I think he's one that to really look at next year. Burgoyne, 69. Ollie Wine, 69. He's finally returning to what we thought he would return to. Butters, 67. Horn Francis, 66. Alir, 64. Bergman, Georgiades, Burn Jones, Mead, Williams, Thatcher. There's no one else here really to look at, and no rookies for them. So that's basically the review there. Quickly going through Port Adelaide, as they don't really have anyone to look at, and I'm also almost shifting my thoughts to next year and what will happen as these reviews go on, and sort of looking at, are these guys viable for next year? And Port Adelaide, I do really like Rosie next year. GWS, there isn't really anyone I'm looking at next year. Maybe a Toby McMullen, if he gets out of the sub role, could be an interesting one, but I don't think he will. Let me just check what is his average for the year. He's coming in with an average of 37. I don't think he gets out of that sub role, and that's way too high. So I think we need another couple of games for that to drop. And there's no one else here that I really like to look up. Maybe a Finn Callahan potentially, but I think this was the year that he broke out to a certain degree, and he's averaging 73. So that would be him in the permanent midfield slot to really see that improvement there. So I don't reckon he's one either. And there's no one else really from Western Sydney, GWS, that I'm looking at. So that pretty much is the video there, and I will see you guys in my fantasy round recap, which was a good round on Wednesday, and then you'll have my cash cows and my trade targets for round 15 in on Thursday after we know the news of the Zach Butters tribunal. So I'll see you guys in those videos. Bye guys.